Hi everyone, happy belated Thanksgiving. I hope you had a great day if you celebrate. Today I thought I would talk about some books that I am not thankful for in the opposite spirit of the holiday. Um, I'm going to talk about some books that were huge disappointments for me. So these are books that I went into thinking this might be a new favorite book, and I came out of it really not liking it and not enjoying my reading experience. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Um, I think some of these are going to be a little bit controversial, so if you love these books, I'm really happy for you. I don't think there's anything wrong with them necessarily. I just personally didn't like them, and they did not live up to the hype that I had created for them in my mind, which is maybe partially my own doing, but yeah, I'm gonna get into them, and it's nothing personal, it's just these were not to my taste. So, which one do I start with? I have 5 books here, and I don't have any of them physically because I got rid of them. If I read a book that I didn't like, I donate it to the used bookstore or to the library because there's no point in holding on to it in my mind. So I don't have any of them to show you, but most of them are pretty popular, so I think you will know. So the first 2 kind of go together in my mind. One of them is On the Road by Jack Kerouac. If you don't know what this book is, it's a classic novel. I think it was written in the 60s or 70s. And it's basically a road trip novel about this guy who goes out on a trip across America. And I love traveling, I love reading about new places, I love nature, I love adventure, I love all of that. So I thought, this book is right up my alley. I'm going to love this book. And I read this, I want to say in high school or, right after high school. So it was a while ago, but I really did not like it. I really found it to be a product of its time. There were a lot of things in it that were especially sexist that stood out to me. I don't have any specific examples because I did read it a long time ago, but I remember reading it and being like, this is just not enjoyable to read. I don't like this. Like, I understand, things change, society grows more accepting and develops, but I just couldn't look past it because I found it to be so prevalent in the book, and it really took me out of the story. And honestly, I didn't find the writing to be that exceptional either. So that was one that was a big disappointment to me. And then the other one that I feel like goes along with it in my mind is Desert Solitaire by Edward Abbey. And so I read this 4 or 5 years ago. I was working in Utah for the summer for the Forest Service. And Edward Abbey is a very famous nature writer. And I was living in Utah, and he wrote this book, Desert Solitaire, about Arches National Park, which was a national monument at the time, and about his time living there and working there. And it was not a very popular destination at the time. He was alone a lot, and I was alone a lot in Utah, and everyone was recommending this book to me. They were like, he's a great, amazing writer. It's set in the state that you're in. You should read this book. You should read this book. And I was super excited about it. Again, another book that I thought would be relatable and that I would really enjoy. But again, I found it to be another product of its time. I don't remember the decade this was written in, but there was a lot of racism toward Mexican people, Native Americans. It just was not, I couldn't get past it. And usually in a book, when it's a classic book, if there's a couple of comments, I can kind of move forward and be like, okay, this was written a long time ago. People thought differently. People had different things that they found to be acceptable. But this was just like, there was too much of it and I couldn't move beyond it. Besides the fact that it's a little bit of a spoiler, so I won't get too specific, but there was a part where he just like kills a random animal for fun. And personally, that's something I don't agree with either. And like, this book isn't fiction. This is a memoir of his time. And so I just found that to be really off-putting as well. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. I don't like that at all. And I was like, you know what? You kind of think that you're so cool and amazing when you're just destroying the nature that you're claiming to be protecting. He wasn't eating this animal for food or anything. It was just like for fun. And I was like, that doesn't sit right with me. So that book also I did not enjoy. And I know he's a very acclaimed nature writer and some people love it, but it just was not for me. Another book that I did not like, which I think might be the most kind of controversial one on this list, like some people love it, some people hate it, and I was more on the hate side, is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. This book is about 4 friends. They're all men. They meet in college, I believe, and it basically follows all of them throughout the decades of their lives, from when they meet until when they become older adults. And I mean, I like the concept of the friendship dynamic. I liked the idea of the story. I heard a lot of people loved it. I mean, I did hear that it was very, very sad, and like, I'm okay with sad books. That doesn't bother me normally. But this one, I will say, was just too much for me. Not in the fact that like it upset me deeply, but in the way that I found it to just be, it was negative for the sake of being negative. Like, it was just, which I guess is what I'm doing right now, but it was just depressing scene after depressing scene, horrible event after horrible event for seemingly no reason. Like, the main character, Jude, like all 4 of them are main characters, but he's the one that like you really get a deep dive into his childhood and past life and everything. And all these horrific things happened to him, which is fine. Like, none of them were out of the realm of possibility that could happen to somebody, but it just felt like piling on and piling on and piling on. And it's a long book too. This book was like almost 500 pages long, and I kept reading it because it was somewhat well written. Like, I wasn't like, oh, I'm not enjoying this at all, or I'm not appreciating it at all. And I kept reading it because I was like, maybe there's a point to this. Maybe there's a reason for all this suffering. Maybe there's going to be some hope. And not to say good things never happen, but whenever they do happen, they're taken away. And it's just like, it was too much. And at the end, I did not find the end to be justifying of all this stuff that happened. And it was just too much. I found it to be, yeah, it was just dark for no reason. There was no hope. There was nothing. And I just don't think there's really a point in writing a book like that. Like, this isn't somebody's real life, it's a novel. I just did not connect with it the way that some people did. I know some people loved it, but that's how I felt about it. The next one on my list is Solitaire by Alice Oseman. I'm sure most people have heard of the Heartstopper series, also by Alice Oseman, which is a series of graphic novels about 2 high school age boys, and they fall in love, and it's a really cute book series, and it's TV show, and I love that. I love the book series and I love the TV show. But this was just a train wreck, this book, in my personal opinion. It's about one of the main characters, one of the boys, it's about his older sister. And it was actually written before any of the Heartstopper books. And the reason that this book is so bad is because the author wrote it when she was 19. So I can understand, like, I don't think I could have done any better as a 19-year-old trying to write a novel. But it was just, in my opinion, all over the place. And like, the main character was, her thoughts were just jumping around. I couldn't honestly even follow the plot super well. And it's a very short book. I just don't think that it really added anything to the Heartstopper world for me. And so I was disappointed because I love the other books, so I was excited to read this, but I would skip it. I know some people like it, but the quality of Heartstopper is way better, which makes sense because it was written more recently. The author had way more life experience and writing experience at that point, so it makes sense that it would be much better written. But yeah, it was just a miss for me. And then the final book on my list is The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. And I was expecting to love this book because I love The Secret History by Donna Tartt. That's one of my favorite books. It's amazing. I love it. Fantastic book. It's well loved by many people. But The Goldfinch just didn't do it for me. It's basically about a young boy and this journey that he goes on, basically. And I don't want to say too much because I feel like anything that I say will kind of spoil it. But it was way too long. It was like another 500-page book, which I don't love long books, so that's partially a me thing, but I didn't find it to be very well written, or as well written as The Secret History. I didn't really get the point of the plot. I wasn't really getting, I was like, what is the purpose of this story? Like, there wasn't, it just didn't connect with me in the way that The Secret History did, and I think that I just had such high expectations going into it also, that when I did read it, it just fell flat for me, especially compared to her other novel that I had read. So I think of all of these books, that's the one that I would recommend the most. Of like, other people may enjoy it, but I just didn't. But yeah, it disappointed me, especially compared to her other book. So yeah, that's my list of my 5 biggest book disappointments that I've had. Please comment if you've read any of these books and comment your thoughts, and don't get mad at me for if this is your favorite book and I hated it. They didn't work for me, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if any of you also didn't like these books, I would especially love to commiserate on that with you. So yeah, thanks for watching. I think my next video, I'm gonna do all of my 5-star / favorite books of 2024. So the year is wrapping up, and I think I'll have a positive video for next time. So yeah, thanks again for watching. Bye.